Captain Jake Morrison stood at the bridge of the UES Pioneer, watching the starfield shift on the main display. Another 12 hours, and they would complete their sweep of the outer rim. It was routine work, but someone had to map the empty spaces between stars. The crew had settled into the quiet rhythm of deep space exploration. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Lisa Daniels from her science station. Her voice had that edge it got when she found something new. "There's an energy signature at bearing 27 Mark III. It shouldn't be there." Morrison moved to her station. "Define shouldn't be there, Lisa. It's artificial, definitely not natural. But it's old, sir. Really old. The signature is weak, like it's been running on emergency power for a very long time." Pete Williams, their communications officer, looked up from his console. "I'm not reading any signals from it. No distress calls, no automated beacons. Just silence." Morrison felt that familiar tightness in his chest. First contact protocols ran through his mind, but this wasn't like the simulations. This was real. "Steve, prep a boarding party. I want to know what we're dealing with." "Commander Steve." Bradley nodded. "Aye, sir. How many?" "Small team. You, Dr. Knox, Ryan Carter, and 2 security. Standard first contact gear." The next hour crawled by as the Pioneer moved closer to the signal source. When it finally appeared on their visual display, the entire bridge went silent. The ship was massive, easily twice the size of the Pioneer. Its hull was dark metal, covered in scorch marks and impact scars from countless meteors. Strange symbols were etched into its surface, barely visible beneath the cosmic damage. "My God," whispered Lisa. "Look at the design. Those curves and angles. It's not like anything we've ever built." Dr. Amy Knox joined them on the bridge. "Captain, I'd like to run some scans first. We don't know what we're dealing with. Could be dangerous." Morrison nodded. "Do it. Full spectrum analysis." While Dr. Knox worked, Morrison studied the alien vessel. It looked dead in space, but the energy signature suggested otherwise. Something was still running inside that ship. Something was still trying to survive. "Captain," Dr. Knox said after several minutes, "I'm detecting life signs, faint ones. They're in some kind of stasis or deep hibernation. 7 individuals, all in one section of the ship that seems to be functioning as an infirmary." The bridge. Crew exchanged glances. 7 beings, possibly alive, possibly waiting for someone to find them. Morrison made his decision. "Steve, change of plans. Take Dr. Knox and a larger medical team. I want those beings monitored constantly. Ryan, you still go, but bring extra engineering equipment. I want to know how that ship is still running." The boarding party launched in the Pioneer's shuttle. Morrison watched their progress on the monitors, seeing the alien ship grow larger as they approached. Its hull was covered in what looked like attempts at field repairs. Someone had tried very hard to keep their ship alive. "Captain," came Steve's voice over the comm. "We're at the airlock. The mechanism is still functional. Someone left this thing powered up, waiting. Proceed with caution." Morrison watched through the helmet cameras as the boarding party entered the alien vessel. The corridors were huge, clearly designed for beings much taller than humans. Emergency lighting flickered along the walls, casting long shadows. The walls were covered in those strange symbols, and as they moved deeper, Morrison noticed they became more frantic, more desperate. "Sir," Dr. Knox's voice was quiet with awe. "These symbols, they're everywhere. Like someone was trying to leave messages, instructions maybe, or a warning." They reached what appeared to be the command center. Even in the dim light, the sophistication of the controls was obvious. Screens still displayed data streams in an alien language. Ryan Carter immediately began, studying the power systems. "Captain," Ryan said, "this is incredible. They're running on some kind of quantum battery. It's been sustaining life support based on the power drain, thousands of years, sir. Maybe tens of thousands." "Show me the beings." Steve led the way to the infirmary. 7 chambers lined the far wall, each containing a figure in suspended animation. They were roughly humanoid, but taller, with elongated limbs and skin that seemed to have a crystalline quality. Tubes and wires connected them to machines that hummed quietly. They put themselves to sleep, Dr. Knox said, her voice filled with wonder and sadness. Look at these readings. They set everything to maintain life support and went into stasis. They were waiting for someone to find them. Steve examined the chamber controls. There are manual overrides here, and look at this. He pointed to a series of scratched symbols near each chamber. Numbers. They were counting something. Days, maybe. Years. Morrison studied the sleeping figures through the display. 7 individuals from an unknown species, adrift in space for thousands of years, waiting for rescue, waiting for hope. His ship had just provided that hope. Dr. Knox, can they be revived safely? I need more time to study their physiology, but potentially yes. Their systems are remarkably similar to ours in some ways. The stasis technology is keeping them stable. Captain, Ryan called from the power systems. You need to see this. Morrison moved to the engineering station where Ryan had accessed the ship's logs. The display showed a star map with a clear trajectory marked. Images flashed across the screen. A binary star system, ships fleeing, cosmic destruction. We're running from something, Ryan explained. Their navigation logs show they came from a system that no longer exists. This ship was damaged during their escape. They made it as far as they could, then went into stasis hoping someone would find them. Morrison looked around the alien bridge. These beings had fled destruction, saved what they could of their people, and then trusted the universe to bring help. And now, thousands of years later, humanity had answered that trust. Inform Star Command immediately, he ordered. Full report. We're bringing these people home with us. Dr. Knox, prepare everything we need for revival procedures. Steve, I want full security protocols, but friendly ones. Ryan, start learning their systems. We're going to wake them up, and when we do, I want to be able to help them. As his crew began their tasks, Morrison remained on the alien bridge. He studied the stars through their viewing ports, wondering what stories these beings could tell. What had they seen? What had they lost? And what would happen when they opened their eyes to find not their own kind, but humans standing over them? The silence in deep space that had lasted for millennia was about to break, and humanity would be the one to break it. Captain Morrison stood in the medical bay, watching Dr. Knox review the scans from the alien vessel. Her team had spent the last 6 hours studying the sleeping beings, trying to understand their biology. What do you think, Amy? Can we wake them? Dr. Knox pulled up a holographic display. Their physiology is remarkable, similar enough to ours that our medical equipment can read them, but different in crucial ways. Their blood carries oxygen differently. Their nervous system runs on quantum frequencies we're just beginning to understand. Beth Williams, one of the nurses, added, the stasis process is fascinating. It's like they've been frozen in time, but their cellular activity has continued at a micro level. They're not just sleeping, they're waiting. Morrison nodded. How do we proceed? Carefully. Very carefully. I want to try with one first, the one whose chamber shows the strongest vital signs. If successful, we'll proceed with the others. Dr. Knox pointed to the readouts. I've identified what I believe is their leader. The chamber configuration is slightly different, suggesting higher rank. Do it. Dr. Knox assembled her team. Kate Miller prepared the medical equipment while Dr. Knox programmed the alien chamber's wake sequence. They had spent hours decoding the control symbols, using mathematical patterns to understand the interface. Beginning revival process, Dr. Knox announced. Heart rate rising, neural activity and increasing. Muscle responses positive. Morrison watched as the alien's crystalline skin began to change color, shifting from deep blue to a lighter, warmer tone. The being's elongated eyes started to flutter. Almost there, Dr. Knox said. Introducing atmospheric mixture. Oxygen levels normal for their species. Suddenly, the alien's eyes opened. They were large, multifaceted like an insect's, but somehow more expressive. The being looked around wildly, seeing humans for the first time. It tried to sit up, but was too weak. Dr. Knox moved slowly, hands raised peacefully. Easy there. You're safe. "We're here to help." The alien made sounds. Not quite words, but clearly attempting communication. Dr. Knox had prepared for this. She held up a tablet displaying mathematical symbols, then pointed to herself and said, "Human." Tom Hughes, their linguist, stepped forward. He had prepared visual cards with basic concepts, numbers, shapes, simple actions. The alien studied them with intense focus. "Captain," Tom said quietly, "they're incredibly intelligent. Watch how quickly they're processing this." The alien pointed to itself and made a sound that Tom tried to record. Then it pointed to the other chambers and gestured frantically. "They want to know about the others," Dr. Knox said. "Show them they're safe." Morrison nodded to Pete Williams, who activated a screen showing the other 6 chambers with vital signs displayed. The alien seemed to relax slightly, though it still watched the humans with caution. Over the next hour, Julie Harris worked with Tom to establish basic communication. Using pictures and gestures, they learned the being's name sounded like Vethra. The aliens called themselves something that sounded like Vorin. "Vorin," Tom repeated, pointing to Vethra. "Human," he said, pointing to himself. Vethra nodded. A surprisingly human gesture. Then it did something unexpected. It touched its chest, made a series of musical tones, and pointed to its heart. Then it pointed to the humans and made the same gesture. "I think," Julie said softly, "it's saying thank you." Dr. Knox checked Vethra's vital signs. "Strong and improving. I think we can safely wake the others now." One by one, the remaining Vorin were brought back from their long sleep. Each awakening was similar: confusion, fear, then gradual acceptance. The Vorin communicated among themselves in complex harmonics that sounded almost like singing. Dan, Foster, and Kelly Brown, the programmers, had been working on the Vorin ship's computer systems. They made a breakthrough when they discovered the Vorin used a base 12 mathematical system. "Captain," Dan said, "we've accessed their historical logs. It's incredible. These beings were explorers from a civilization that spanned multiple star systems. Their home was destroyed by what looks like a black hole event," Kelly added. "They sent out multiple exploration ships before the disaster. This ship was damaged during the escape and made it as far as they could before entering stasis." Morrison understood the implications. "How many ships?" "At least a dozen, sir, all scattered across the galaxy. This crew went to sleep hoping someone would find them and help locate the others. The first full conversation between humans and Vorin happened that evening. Using a combination of pictures, mathematics, and gestures, Vethra told their story. Thea and Vorin had been part of a great alliance of worlds. Their binary star system had been the cultural center. When gravitational anomalies began destabilizing their suns, they launched an evacuation fleet. Vethra's ship, a mobile laboratory, had suffered catastrophic damage during the escape. They made a choice. Tom translated carefully. They could try to reach the nearest Vorin outpost, but they were too damaged. Or they could preserve themselves, in stasis, and hope for rescue. Vethra showed them scratched tally marks on the walls of their ship. Thousands of them. They had waited for millennia. Ryan Carter and Joe Turner worked with the Vorin engineers to assess both ships. The aliens' technology was different, but not incompatible. Their quantum drive systems could potentially revolutionize human space travel. "Captain," Ryan reported, "their navigation computers might help us locate the other Vorin ships. They have probable trajectory calculations for each vessel that left during the evacuation." Morrison made his decision. He called Star Command. "Admiral Davis, this is Captain Morrison, requesting permission to undertake rescue operations for scattered Vorin vessels. We have coordinates for multiple potential locations." The response came quickly. "Permission granted, Captain. This could be humanity's greatest diplomatic mission. Proceed with caution and regular reporting." That night, the human and Vorin crews shared their first meal together. The Vorin could eat human food with some modifications, and they shared something that looked like metallic fruit from their emergency supplies. Vethra stood and made a speech in their musical language. Tom translated what he could. "Lost in dark, found by light, Vorin and human. Together now." Morrison raised his glass. to the Voran survivors, and to finding the rest of your people. As the two crews toasted, Morrison looked around the dining hall. Humans and aliens, sharing food and beginning to understand each other. It was the start of something that would change both their species forever. The silence of deep space had been broken, and now both ships were preparing to find the others who still drifted somewhere in the vast darkness, waiting for their own moment of rescue. 3 weeks had passed since the awakening. The two ships now traveled together through space, their crews working side by side. Dan Foster and Kelly Brown spent most of their time in the Voran computer room, working with a young Voran they called Tech 2. "Got it," Dan shouted one morning. "We've cracked their main database." Kelly looked up from her terminal. "What did you find?" "Star charts. Hundreds of them. And look, each ship in their evacuation fleet had specific coordinates. We can track them all." The breakthrough came at the right moment. Communication had improved dramatically. Tom Hughes had learned enough Voran words to have basic conversations. The Voran learned English even faster, their minds seeming to absorb language at incredible speeds. Captain Morrison called a meeting in the main conference room. Humans and Voran sat together around a table that had been extended to accommodate the aliens' taller frames. "Vethra," Morrison said, "our engineers believe we can find the other Voran ships. Are you ready to begin the search?" Vethra spoke in accented but clear English. "We have waited so long. Our hearts sing with hope, but we must warn you. Finding ships is not an easy thing. Space is vast. Some ships may have changed course. Some may have. Some may not have made it," Lisa Daniels finished gently. Vethra nodded sadly. "This is truth, but we must try. Our people deserve chance." Chris Young, the navigator, spread out a three-dimensional star map. "We've identified 12 possible search zones based on your data. The closest signal is about 3 light-years from here. A medium-sized transport vessel." Ryan Carter and the Voran engineer Tech 2 had made remarkable progress with combining their technologies. "Captain," Ryan reported, "the Voran quantum drive is incredible. If we can integrate it with our systems, we could cut travel time by 70%. Tech 2 added in careful English, "Your engine's strong but slow. Our engine's fast but broken. Together, make better." Governor Ellen Wright of Colonial Operations had been following their progress. "Captain Morrison," her message came through. "Star Command has approved full resources for this mission. You're making history." The first search took them to the edge of a nebula where sensor readings suggested metal signatures. Gary Adams led a security team aboard what turned out to be a Voran cargo vessel. It was empty but intact. "Signs of an orderly evacuation," Steve Bradley reported. "They made it to the escape pods. We're detecting distress beacon fragments pointing toward the next system." The search pattern continued. Joe Turner and Samantha Lee worked alongside Voran mechanics, learning techniques that human engineers had never imagined. The Voran used crystalline components that grew instead of being manufactured. "Watch this," Samantha demonstrated to the other engineers. She touched a damaged relay with a Voran growth crystal. The metal began repairing itself. "It's like biological engineering, but with inorganic materials." Their second successful rescue came in an asteroid field. Greg Thompson led the away team to investigate a massive Voran agricultural ship. This vessel held 12 survivors in stasis, including families with children. Dr. Knox and her medical team, now trained by Voran healers, successfully woke all 12. The emotional reunion between the 3 crews filled the dining hall with musical Voran celebrations that lasted hours. Megan Clark coordinated between the different groups, helping everyone find their place in the growing fleet. "Captain, we're going to need a bigger ship if we keep finding survivors, or we need to find them homes," Morrison replied thoughtfully. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A Voran child, barely old enough to walk by human standards, was playing with a holographic puzzle. The child accidentally activated a hidden section of the navigation computer. "Captain," Chris Young called excitedly. "Look at this. The children's education programs contain complete astronomical data. Every known habitable world in their territory. Vethra examined the data with growing excitement. These are the sanctuary coordinates, places we marked for emergency colonization. How did we forget? The stasis, Dr. Knox explained. Long-term memory loss is common after extended hibernation. The information was there, you just couldn't access it. The sanctuary data revealed several potential worlds, but one stood out immediately. A moon orbiting a gas giant in the habitable zone of a stable star system, only 20 light-years away. Captain, Lisa said, studying the readings, this place is perfect. Oxygen-rich atmosphere, liquid water, and the mineral composition indicates fertile soil. It's like it was designed for colonization. Frank Davis, now promoted to admiral and overseeing the mission from Earth, approved their course change. Proceed to these coordinates, Captain. Establish first contact protocols for planetary approach. During the journey, something remarkable happened. The two species began truly working together. Voran children played games with human crew members. Voran cooks learned to prepare human food while teaching their recipes in return. Beth Williams started a medical exchange program. Their healing techniques are incredible, she told Dr. Knox. They use sound frequencies to promote cellular repair. I've never seen anything like it. Julie Harris documented the cultural exchanges. They have poetry, music, and mathematics we never imagined. Their art forms are based on harmonic crystals that change color with emotion. Pete Williams and the Voran communications officer discovered they could boost both ships' signal range by combining their technologies. We're reaching further into space than either of our species could alone, Pete reported. As they approached the coordinates of the potential colony world, tension and hope filled both ships. This could be the first joint human-alien colony, a place where two species could build something new together. Sensors picking up the planet, Steve announced. Initial scans look promising. Morrison looked around the bridge at humans and Voran working side by side. 3 weeks ago, these aliens had been strangers lost in space. Now they were partners in humanity's greatest adventure. Begin standard approach, he ordered. All departments prepare for potential colonization assessment. This could be the beginning of something wonderful. The two ships moved toward their destination, carrying not just survivors, but the seeds of an interstellar alliance that neither species had imagined possible. The combined fleet, now 3 ships, dropped out of quantum drive at the edge of the target system. Captain Morrison had been promoted to Fleet Admiral by Star Command, recognition of the historic mission he now led. Admiral, Chris Young reported, from navigation, confirmed habitable moon orbiting the 3rd planet. Readings are even better than expected. Breathable atmosphere, moderate gravity, abundant water sources. Vethra stood beside Morrison on the bridge, their crystalline features reflecting the star's light. Home, they said softly. Not our original home, but a new beginning. Ellen Wright's face appeared on the communication screen from Colonial Operations. Admiral Morrison, we're getting pressure from Earth. Some people are nervous about setting up a joint colony. How do you respond? Morrison looked around his integrated crew. Tell them we're not just building a human colony or a Voran settlement. We're building something better. Something that proves two species can work together. The first planetside mission launched with both human and Voran scouts. Greg Thompson led the team, which included Voran Explorer Scout 3, Security Officer, Gary Adams, and several specialists from both species. Touchdown confirmed. Greg's voice came through the comm. Soil samples look fertile. Water sources are clean. We're seeing signs of plant life similar to both Earth and Voran worlds. Over the next week, the exploration teams mapped potential settlement sites. The moon had temperate zones perfect for both species' needs. Ancient riverbeds suggested reliable water supplies, and mineral scans showed abundant resources for construction. Admiral Frank Davis transmitted daily updates. Public opinion is shifting, Morrison. People on Earth are fascinated by the cooperation they're seeing. Keep sending those progress reports. Tech 2, working with Dan Foster and Kelly Brown, discovered something unexpected. Admiral, we're reading artificial energy signatures, old ones, very old. The investigation led them to ruins, Not Voran, not human, but something else entirely. Circular structures built into hillsides, covered by millennia of growth. This moon had intelligent life before. Tom Hughes translated for the Voran archaeologists. Peaceful builders. They left these shelters and moved on to the stars. Lisa Daniels ran scans on the structures. They're perfectly preserved. The building material is some kind of self-maintaining alloy. These could provide immediate shelter while we build permanent settlements. The discovery influenced their colony design. Instead of separate human and Voran districts, they planned an integrated community. Each family unit would include shared spaces that worked for both species. Look at this, Samantha Lee showed the other engineers. If we modify these ancient buildings with Voran growing technology and human power systems, we can create homes that adapt to whoever lives in them. Meanwhile, the search for other Voran ships continued. Each rescue brought new skills and perspectives to the fleet. They found a military vessel with 6 combat specialists who brought advanced defensive technology. An educational ship provided teachers and scholars with vast libraries of Voran knowledge. Dr. Knox and her medical team prepared for the challenges of mixed species colonization. We need to consider everything: food allergies, atmospheric sensitivities, disease transmission between species. Her Voran counterpart, Healer Prime, added, "Your bodies and our bodies have differences, but also similarities. We must learn together how to keep everyone healthy." The joint medical research produced amazing results. Human and Voran immune systems, when exposed to the same environment, seemed to strengthen each other. Children from both species adapted fastest, playing together without concern for differences. Pete Williams and Julie Harris documented the cultural fusion happening aboard the ships. Music sessions where human instruments harmonized with Voran, crystal resonators, art collaborations between species that created entirely new forms of expression. "We're not just rescuing refugees," Julie reported. "We're creating a new culture, something that's never existed before." Security Chief Gary Adams worked with Voran Defense Specialist War II to establish colony protection protocols. "We need systems that make sense to both species," Gary explained. "Predator warnings, emergency evacuation routes, first contact procedures for any other visitors." Ryan Carter and Tech2's engineering partnership produced breakthroughs weekly. Their quantum fusion hybrid engines made the search pattern incredibly efficient. Each rescue mission could now visit multiple possible locations in days rather than weeks. "Admiral," Ryan demonstrated the latest innovation. "We've created a portable quantum beacon. Any Voran ship with functioning receivers can detect it from light years away. We don't have to search blindly anymore." The beacon's first success came within days. A massive Voran generation ship responded. 23 families who had found temporary refuge in a gas giant's moon, but couldn't establish permanent settlement. Colony Coordinator Megan Clark reviewed the population data. "We've now rescued 43 Voran survivors from 7 ships. With the humans planning to settle here, we're looking at a founding population of over 200 beings, almost evenly split between species." Captain Jake Morrison, Admiral Morrison now, stood in the observation deck with Vethra, watching teams from both species work together on the moon's surface. "Your people saved us," Vethra said. "But now we save each other. This colony will be proof that different species can create something better together than apart." Morrison nodded. "Star Command is sending additional colony ships, all volunteers who want to be part of this experiment. We're calling the settlement Haven." "Haven," Vethra repeated, testing the word. "Yes, this is good name. Place of safety, place of hope." Below them, construction began on the first permanent structures. Human prefab modules stood next to growing Voran crystal habitats. Children from both species helped plant seeds from Earth and Voran homeworlds, creating gardens that would bloom with flowers from across the galaxy. The mission had evolved from rescue to something far greater. Haven would be humanity's first interstellar colony, but more than that, it would be the galaxy's first truly multi-species settlement. And this was just the beginning. 6 months after establishing Haven, Admiral Morrison stood in the colony's central plaza. The twin suns cast double shadows across the gathering crowd. Human and Voran families had come together for the official founding ceremony of the galaxy's first multi-species settlement. Population count is holding steady at 212, Megan Clark reported. Housing districts are complete, the hospital wing is operational, and the first harvest from the mixed gardens exceeded expectations by 30%. Morrison smiled. The plaza itself was a marvel of cooperation. Human architecture blended, with Voran growing techniques created buildings that seemed to breathe with the planet's rhythms. Crystal spires housed communication equipment, while prefab structures provided sturdy workshops and laboratories. Children ran past in mixed groups, their laughter universal. A human girl named Lucy taught her Voran friend Tech Child 3 how to skip rope, while the young Voran showed her how to make crystals sing. Their differences had become strengths, their combined abilities greater than either species alone. Admiral, final preparations are complete, announced Commander Steve Bradley. Both sides are ready for the ceremony. The founding ceremony had been designed by both species. Vethra had explained Voran traditions, harmonic crystal presentations that displayed historical memories. Humans had contributed soil from Earth, carried all these light years to be part of Haven's foundation. I never imagined we'd get this far, Dr. Amy Knox said, adjusting her formal uniform. When we first found that drifting ship, I thought we'd be lucky to communicate, let alone build a community together. Her Voran colleague, Healer Prime, hummed in agreement. The universe brought our species together, but choice made us family. At the center of the plaza stood the Monument of Meeting, a sculpture created jointly by human and Voran artists. Human metal merged seamlessly with Voran crystal, the piece changing colors with the light and emotion of nearby observers. Today, it pulsed warm gold, reflecting the hope of everyone present. Morrison approached the monument with Vethra. As the senior representatives of each species, they would perform the founding ritual together. Today marks not just the establishment of Haven, Morrison announced, his words translated simultaneously into Voran harmonics, but the beginning of a new chapter for both our species. The Voran came to us as refugees, seeking help in their darkest hour, but they gave us something greater in return, the knowledge that we are not alone, and that different peoples can create something wonderful together. Vethra stepped forward, their crystalline features catching the twin sunlight. Human friends found us sleeping in the dark between stars. You woke us. You helped us find our scattered people. You offered not just rescue, but partnership. Today, we plant roots together. The ceremony began. Voran children sang harmonics that made the plaza crystals resonate. Human children added their voices, creating a blend neither species had imagined before. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, carrying across the settlement and into the skies. Pete Williams and his Voran communications partner had established a direct link to Earth and surviving Voran colonies. Images from the ceremony broadcast across multiple star systems watched by billions. They're calling it the Haven Harmony, Julie Harris reported from her cultural documentation station. The music our children just created. It's going viral across human space, and the Voran are sharing it through their quantum networks. Admiral Frank Davis appeared on the main communication screen from Star Command. Morrison, do you understand what you've started? Colony applications have tripled since this morning. Everyone wants to be part of what you're building. The founding ritual continued. Morrison and Vethra each took handfuls of soil, Earth dirt mixed with Voran homeworld samples and native Haven Earth. Together they planted a sapling, a hybrid, tree grown from seeds of 3 worlds, its root system designed to thrive in harmony rather than compete. This tree will grow as our community grows, Morrison explained. Its roots will intertwine like our families. Its branches will reach to the stars like our ambitions. Tech 2 and Dan Foster demonstrated their latest innovation, a quantum beacon powered by joint human-Voran technology that would guide other potential refugees to Haven. The device would broadcast in multiple frequencies, a welcome mat for any lost travelers. No one will drift alone in space again, Tech 2 announced. Haven will be known. Haven will welcome all. As afternoon turned to evening, the ceremony transformed into a celebration. Food stations served fusion cuisine, human recipes adapted, for Voran tastes alongside traditional Voran dishes modified for human palates. Children played games that combined rules from both cultures. Beth Williams and Kate Miller ran the medical station, treating minor injuries from overzealous playing, with techniques learned from both species' traditions. The Voran sound healing helped a human boy's scraped knee while human bandages secured a Voran child's strained crystal arm. Look at this. Samantha Lee showed her engineering team the latest construction plans. The next housing district will feature residential units that morph between human and Voran needs. Families of any composition can live comfortably. As the twin suns began to set, casting the sky in purple and gold hues, Morrison gathered everyone for a final announcement. 6 months ago, we rescued 7 Vorin from the darkness of space. Today, we have 212 people calling Haven home. Tomorrow we'll welcome 3 more ships, 2 human colony vessels and 1 Voran exploration craft. Haven grows. Vethra added, growth is good, but harmony is better. We are no longer human and Voran. We are Haven people. We are the first but not the last. The celebration continued under the stars. Children from both species lay in the grass, pointing out constellations and teaching each other about their mythologies. Parents exchanged stories of their homeworlds, while planning combined holidays that honored both traditions. Admiral Morrison and Vethra stood together, watching the community they had helped create. We've proven something important, Morrison said quietly. Different species can not only coexist but thrive together. The universe is vast, Vethra replied, their harmonics soft with contentment. But it is not empty, not when you have friends to light the darkness. Above them, the sky filled with lights as more ships approached Haven's coordinates. The quantum beacon pulsed steadily, a rhythm of welcome that reached across the stars. The silence of deep space had been shattered permanently. In its place, rose the sound of interspecies cooperation, of children's laughter, of technologies blending into innovations neither species could have achieved alone. Haven was no longer just a settlement. It was the beginning of a new era for all thinking beings in the galaxy.